Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to another edition of the Narrator Podcast. I'm your host, Halsey. The Narrator Podcast is the home of original people peace, reciprocity, and positive frames of reference. How's everybody doing this evening on this wonderful Wednesday? It's hump day, y'all. We over the hump. Weekend right around the corner. Like, geez, is it just me or does this month seem gone already? It seems like May just got here and it's just like creeping out the door. But to no avail, welcome to the Narrator Podcast. Welcome all my narrators. Welcome anybody unfamiliar with my platform that's tuning in right now. Welcome to you too. So, my narrators, they already know the demonstration. They know what the Narrator Podcast is all about. So, I'm just going to give the brand new listeners that may be tuning in this evening some insight to my platform by giving them a quick overview and a synopsis of, what I do here and what the Narrative Podcast is all about. So in doing so and moving forward, let's start at the very top. The name, narrative. What does that imply? I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast because my personal belief, or actual factual fact actually, that the media weaves a false narrative about original people and original culture. They do this intentionally, primarily to, turn a profit. Then also, they want to do it to market us a certain way to people outside of our culture and, use it as a tool to keep the higher echelon in power and keep all the tangible resources for themselves, aka white people. So what I want to do is design a platform where we're celebrating our cultures, celebrating my people and our culture, and basically telling our story correctly because we're intentionally being misrepresented by the media. We're being misrepresented in literature. We're being misrepresented in film, television. Like any outlet you can name, we're intentionally being misrepresented. So what I want to do is create a platform to represent us the correct way, enlighten people outside of our culture, and then also, help paint a positive self-image for ourselves. Because that's another tool of the media and the powers that be. They want to desensitize us and make us accept things that aren't normal. They want to focus the camera in on all the negative stereotypes and all the negative stigmas and nuances going on within our culture. So matter of fact, that's a perfect segue for my tagline. My tagline for my podcast is the Narrative Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time, by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original culture. So, my ultimate takeaway, I want my listening audience to gain from my content, if nothing else, is the importance of sharing, positive content on whatever platform or digital space you occupy. Because we're living in the digital age, and people kind of judge you based on what the type of content that you're posting online. So just imagine like people, like they're already, when it comes to our people outside of our culture are already given negative frames of reference about us. So just imagine that we walk into it and embrace the negative stereotypes by posting gang culture, by posting drug culture, weapon culture, pimp culture, whore culture, thought culture, F-boy culture, just, the whole negative nine. I mean, nowadays it's junkie, addict culture has become popular now in our community. Like being an addict used to be the most, like, you done hit rock bottom when you become an addict. Now being an addict is praised in our community. Like so many of our young people are like in NA, for popping pills, Zans, Molly's, super hardcore stuff. I mean, all drugs are bad, but like, it's like they're proud of it. They're wearing it like a badge of honor, walking around just looking like zombies, looking like they're rolled out of bed, stuff all in the corner of their eyes and the, corner of their mouths, just full-blown addicts. So that's all I'm saying on my platform is I'm just going to play up all the positive things that goes on in our community. We should be sharing stories about leadership. We should be sharing stories about unity. We should be sharing stories about entrepreneurship. We should be sharing stories about, us coming together, standing together. We should be sharing stories about our family structure, the original people family structure. Congratulating each other, speaking positively of one another. Basically keeping a united front instead of always being at odds. So that's the ultimate takeaway I want, anybody who listens to my platform to walk away from, if nothing else, is the importance of, why it's so important to share positive content on, whatever platform you occupy. So I'm not knocking the people that make their money from, gossip. Now, me, myself, personally, I have no need for it. I don't, on my platform, I don't entertain it. I don't, I don't feed into it. I do talk about current events, and when I talk about a hot button issue, it's not feeding into the gossip. It's really just the way I do it is setting it up for my overall, main point of my podcast is like all the problems we experience within our community are from outside forces, and they use these instances to turn us against one another. I mean, sure, we got to take self-accountability. I talk about that a lot on my platform too, but mainly, our biggest problems is the ops. So anytime I'm talking about a current issue that may have tinges, excuse me, a little tongue-tied this evening, tinges, I'm still messing up on the word, coming across as gossipy. I'm not gossiping, I'm just like, using it as a a stepping stone to set up my main point. So believe me, when I'm talking about current issues or events, I'm going somewhere with it. I'm not, entertaining gossip. Don't do gossip, don't do rumors. Wrong platform. So yeah, that's basically the Narrator podcast in a nutshell. This is the live edition of the Narrator podcast. I got a kind of a different format for my lives than I do for a full broadcast. If I have allotted time this evening, I'll walk my new listeners through my format for my for a full broadcast episode of the Narrator podcast, how it's structured, how it's set up. What they would be what they would be looking forward to for a full broadcast. But this is just a super random live. On my super random lives, I really just I share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And the positive frames of reference that I share come in the form of positive news articles. The reason why I do that, because, we're constantly being bombarded by negativity. And most of the negativity, like I said, comes from the media. That's all we're, ever shown and, broadcast over the radio is something negative. It's always, us killing each other or us, slandering each other online. So the types of stories I share is just positive, uplifting, inspirational, and motivational. And then, on my lives after I share the articles, I deliver commentary on current events, just deliver my perspective on something trending, whether it's world news or just something within our community. So yeah, I'm about to dive into the content. Just one more thing I want my listeners to understand on my platform. I know all my narrators, they're used to it. They already know. But on my platform, I refer to our people as original people. I do that in place of the word black. And I do this not because I'm ashamed of being black, or I think, I'm like a black nationalism, and, most black nationalists don't say or encourage you not to refer to yourself as black, but it's not nothing like that. It's an observation that I made, that I came into a realization about, because I also believe in the power of words on my platform. So, I just had an epiphany several months ago. So when the word came about, the word black, let's start there. We was here on the planet 5,000 years before pretty much every other ethnicity in the world. We were the mothers and fathers of civilization. Everything began with us, including language. We invented the spoken word and the written word. And when we invented the word black, it was regal. It meant beauty. It meant power. It meant intelligence. All things positive was associated with the word black. Then fast forward a couple centuries, some people came around us, whom we try to actually help, become productive members of civilization. But, they took and flipped the narrative to make black mean something bad. And as a matter of fact, they colonized the word. And when they started recording history, you know, and made these little dictionaries and other reference material, they made the word black mean something negative. So you go in any dictionary, any iteration of it, any country, but especially here in America, and look up the word black, and you will see, you know, all negative things are associated with the word black. Nouns, pronouns, adjectives, every, you know, part of speech you can think of, you know, that make black mean something negative. So it's like, you know, gloomy, desolate, catastrophic, disastrous, calamitous, dirty, unholy. You know, the list goes on and on. Like you can take out your browser on your phone right now and look up the word black for yourself. You don't even have to have an actual dictionary. You can just look it up on your phone. You see where I'm going with it. But before you go to all that, those negative words, it should sometimes appears at the very top of the page or sometimes in the middle of the page. It's the only color in the entire color spectrum in the dictionary that also denotes origin. They'll say, you know, black, you know, dark-skinned people or people with a dark pigmentation descending or originating from Africa. And then they'll go and start in on all these negative things. So it's like, it's psychological warfare. They're trying to ingrain negativity into your psyche about the word black and have you like feeling some type of way and have you looking at yourself some type of way. And they've successfully done it. Because if you look at our culture, especially here in America, you know, if we're referring to ourselves as black, you know, look where we're at as a people in the world. You know? But now, and that same dictionary or any iteration, you know, whatever type of dictionary you want to look at original. No negative connotation attached to the word original. You know, with black, you know, the way they got it set up in the dictionary just means death, dying, the end of all things, and sickness and plague, and, you know, suffering, disease. Like I said, all things negative, right? But original does not. Original just really means the first, and then in many cases, the best. And I think, you know, it's more accurate to refer to ourselves as original as opposed to black, because A, was here before everybody else on this planet, and then B, we created life. We created everything. We originated everything. We were the original scholars. We were the original scientists. We were the original mathematicians. We were the original linguists. We were the original architects. We were the original alchemists. You know, any field you can think of, we originated it. Any vocational field you can think of, we originated it. You know, any special skilled trade you can think of, we originated it. So therefore, we're original people. And then to tack on to the original, you know, there wasn't a place on this earth that we wasn't, you know, originally existing, thriving and living. And then contrary to all unpopular belief, we didn't get to all these places on the earth via slave boats, as history would point out to us. While slavery did happen, while slavery was barbaric and, catastrophic and all that, not all of us got to certain places and certain ports via slave boats. Why? Because we was already originally there. So that's where I'm going with my logic behind referring to our people as original. I mean, if you love calling yourself black, if you love being black, black is beautiful. I'm not here to argue and debate. I'm not that guy to argue and debate. Go right on ahead. Keep on referring to yourself as black. More power to you. But here on this platform, Narrative Podcast, I refer to our people as original people as often as possible. And then one last thing before I dive into the content. Where did I come up with the term narrators? Why do I refer to my listening audience as narrators? Is because this day and age that we live in, we're all content creators with these handheld devices that we walk around all day with. We illustrate or narrate our stories online by the content that we're posting. So we can basically change the narrative of how we're depicted by people outside of our culture by narrating our own stories online with positive frames of reference instead of the negative frames of reference that they bombard us with about our people and our culture every single day. And that's why I call my listening audience my narrators. So now that you're listening to the Narrative Podcast, you're now officially a narrator. So get out there after this broadcast ends and narrate. Change the digital landscape about how our people and our culture are being depicted online. So I got all that out the way. Let's get down to business. Right into the content. So when I'm broadcasting live, like I said, I share positive articles and then I deliver content on current events. So we're going to dive right into it with some positive articles that made my radar recently. And then we're going to dive into the commentary. And if I have time allotted, I'll walk you through, give you a brief synopsis or overview of a full episode of the Narrative Podcast. So here we go. All right. Share some articles now. So for my first article, the headline reads, Founders of Hey There series reimagine black characters by challenging stigmas and reclaiming mental health. Hey There is a book series written and published by Adrian Moorfield and T.J. Perry. Their characters are all different shades and flesh tones of original people, or black, if you still want to say black. Hairstyle, so, in their book series, they have them deal with, real life issues that we go through every day. So you name issues like how our people is being depicted, things we face every single day, systemic racism, just our situation as a people, but they do it innocently enough to where a child can grasp it. Because, basically, their book stories are just like things that our children ask us all the time anyway, with like mommy, daddy, uncle, auntie, why is this like that? Why are these people treating us like this? And, so their book series is praised in the literary community. They won dozens of awards from educators around the world, not just here in America. So do yourself a favor and go online and do your research about the Hey There bookstore, Hey There book series, and go support that. So we're going to give a warm Narrator round of applause to Brother Adrian and Brother TJ Perry, Adrian Moorfield and TJ Perry of the Hey There bookstore book series for children. All right, moving right along. Second article, headline reads, Young Black Activist for Mental Health launches Community Impact Fund in honor of suicide victim. And the young brother's name is Dorian Hollingsworth Jr. And he's a 21-year-old Bronx native New Yorker, founder of the Teen Care Network. It's a Teen Care Network Incorporated. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to the changing and conservation of mental health in communities of color. I really don't like of color. I don't know. I really don't know. I just don't like that phrase. Just say like black or original people. But anyway, Doran is also a 2023 McDonald's and Black Positively Change Leaders partner. On their roster, they also have Kiki Palmer. So he's doing a lot of positive things. Mental health is very real in our community. And, the bulk of the mental health issues that we have in our community comes from systemic racism, comes from, slavery on up into the civil rights, into Jim Crow and all that. Everything our people ever went through from slavery all the way up into now plays a very, great contributing factor to mental health. Not only that, but always seeing negativity, always being bombarded with negativity in the music, on television, in films, 24 hours a day. Like that was one of the biggest contributing factors to all the violence that happened during the pandemic, during the lockdown. Because every single day on your internet, something's happened. Like we were just catching it back to back. One week it was like, just some random motorist. The guy walking down the street and we was catching it, like we had to know about these things, but it's like we wasn't ever catching a break. It was always something tragic. A young black teen getting shot down or beaten down by the police, or just some random Caucasian person. every single day. That takes a toll on your mental health. So they know what they're doing when they do that. Psychological programming and conditioning is psychological warfare at its best. To always be showing us that every single day. That's why I'm urging everybody to, share positive content online. Speak positivity over us. So, mental health also, because the mind is where everything starts. Diet is a really small part in living a healthy, active, fit lifestyle. Everything starts in the mind. You create things in the mind. So when your mind is constantly taxed, it breaks down your resistance and, manifests things physically in your body. This is why they call illnesses diseases. They manifest when your mind is at dis-ease. And with our people, it manifests into, hypertension, high blood pressure, what else? Gout, cancer. I can go on, run it on down the list, but it all starts in the mind is what I'm getting at. And that's why mental health is so important in our community. We have to keep a sharp mental health. We have to stay in peak physical health. We got to stay in peak mental health. Because your mind is like, the creation station. Anything starts in your mind. So, you got to guard your thoughts well. You have to stay focused. You can't allow negativity to creep in or to manifest into a dis-ease. What else was I about to say before I just, go on to my next article, tack on to that? So like Google free radicals. Free radicals it's basically just a negative thought. They're negatively charged ions that accumulate. And when too much of them are in your body, they cause sickness too. But basically a free radical is a negative thought. That's what it is. Stripping it down to is, it's more scientifically complex, but if you strip it down to the bare basics, negatively charged ion, you got ions in your brain passages, like they emit certain types of energy, electricity. So you got too many negative thoughts. They build up and turn into diseases. Just food for thought. But anyway, I got super way off-putting. I'm going to give a warm narrative podcast round of applause to that brother Dorian Hollingsworth Jr. for everything that he's working on and just keeping the spotlight on mental health. see. All right, this is a super light one this evening. Here's my last article that came across my radar this week. I mean, it's like tons of stuff out, but all the stuff that was coming up in my feed, these stories I'm sharing this evening just stood out to my mind the most. So as the old saying goes, it was just like, it was in my spirit. That's what we say in our community. It was in my spirit to share those. Because I don't think people talk about these. I haven't heard too much about them. So, trying to keep positivity circulating. And, exhibit and display stories of tenacity, us triumphing in the face of adversity, us defying the odds, us rising to excellence. All right, last story, article I'm sharing with you. Formerly homeless teen to graduate as valedictorian with 8.07 GPA, and the sister's name is Jasmine Mazar Larry of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She became homeless due to a fire. Her story's been shared on Good Morning America. She was involved in marching band activities and volunteering in her community despite, all the adversities that she faced due to, losing everything. Like they didn't have fire insurance. Like they lost everything. They had to start all over again. Plus she lost her father. So just one bad thing after another on her senior year. But through all that, she managed to graduate. She plans to attend Louisiana State University in the fall to study biochemistry. She plans to be a biochemist. So that's it, and that's all, y'all, for the articles. And now, for the main event, I don't have a drum machine or a drum effect on my other thing. I'm gonna have to download some more sound effects, but I got this. This'll do. Getting to the main event, commentary this evening. So, internet's buzzing about the Ebony K. Williams and Ayanna Van Zant interview. Would you date a bus driver? And it just detonated like an atom bomb in our community. And it's just like people, like I said now, when I talk about current events, I'm going somewhere with it. I'm not engaging in the, gossip surrounding it. I'm just delivering some fresh perspective, and then also exhibiting and displaying how the powers that be use stories like this to keep us at odds with one another. Because there's a whole lot of perspectives floating around the internet, and people is big mad on all sides about this comment that how Ebony K. Williams responded to the question, would you date a bus driver? So first of all, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but it seems in our community, especially in the hip hop genre, anytime you have an opposing view, you're a hater. You're a hater for telling the truth. How you really think and how you really feel about something. And thing about the truth, when people get confronted with the truth, they get mad. The truth will make people that live in disingenuously angry. They get defensive. Some cases they get violent. Another problem when we have in our community, we let emotion override our good judgment. It's new popular slang that's emerged in the last couple of years. When you're conversing with somebody, they'll often insert "I feel." Like you have a conversation, like I'm a Gen Xer, like having a conversation with Gen Zers, I notice they say, well, I feel like, you ask them a direct question, a yes or no question, they say, I feel. Well, I feel like, no, or I feel like we covered that already. I feel. I feel is not an answer. I feel is an emotion. So now let's break it down to the bare bones of the interview. Ayana asked Ebony, would she date a bus driver? Her retort was an honest answer, yes, if he owned the bus company. Something along those lines. That's not a direct quote. It's been like buzzing around. You can go into the internet and look for the direct quote. But she said, if he owned a bus. Now since then, she's gone online to defend her statement on many platforms. And she says, people got in their fields and heard what they wanted to hear. She said she was coming from the perspective of ownership. She wanted to get across to her brothers to have ownership in something, a stake in something. So the perspective Diana always comes with, and I love her perspective, is, be reasonable, be practical. Because sisters do be having these big laundry lists of requirements, and they themselves don't even measure up to, their own list that they created. Like there's nothing going on in their own personal life that will warrant a list like that. Like they can't even measure up to their own standards. So how are you gonna find somebody to measure up to your standards, and you can't even measure up to your own standards? So there's nothing wrong with having standards, but your standards have to be reasonable and realistic. Just the truth, or you're going to be lonely forever. You got, I think in the dating community, people that find themselves lonely is because, one, they don't even know what they're looking for. And then two, they're not being honest about what they actually want. They're saying stuff that sounds good. They want, but they don't want to put that work in to make it become a reality. But I digress. I'm not a relationship guru. Like I said, the only reason why I'm talking about this tonight is because it sparked controversy in our community and is being railroaded and spearheaded by the powers that be as a tool to, divide us and distract us from, things we need to be laser focusing on. So both ladies respectfully are, career-oriented women coming from the bottom, now earning more than a meager wage, more than neither one of them doing bad. Like probably six figures or better for a very long time now. And not for nothing, money, doesn't mean anything. I'm just saying, like, money doesn't buy you happiness. You can't take it with you when you die. And all in life you do with it is just give it away. So money should never be the measuring stick for anything. But anyway, so like Ebony K. Williams, she reminds me of a female Kevin Samuels, rest in peace. Or she might have actually been around before Kev. Because he was like, before he started doing the relationship counseling, he was an image consultant. So she actually might have been his inspiration because she been doing this for like ever. I don't know. I don't know how big Hollywood circles are. I don't know. So anyway, Ayana, she represents practical people. She makes her content digestible and practical. She represents like the common man and woman, the people. She is the people's healer. Because she delivers some stern truth too. But the difference between Ebony and Ayana is she's more empathetic with the truth. Like if you ever watched her show, sometimes sometimes that truth hurts and she gotta be blunt. Like her iconic one she had with DMX. She had to just, she couldn't cut no corners. She had to just tell it like it is. And sometimes it's like that. But she comes from the space of empathy. Ebony K. Williams, she's coming from the it is what it is. You can't dress the truth up. You can dress the truth up, but it's still going to be the truth. She's coming from the perspective of just because you pour syrup on ish, don't make it pancakes. And, she's been getting a lot of backlash. And some of it's warranted, some of it's not. Because you don't have to be that harsh. I think her latest interview, she went on to, is it even called The Breakfast Show anymore? Breakfast Club? I've seen Envy and Charlemagne. I haven't seen the whole episode. I've just been seeing little snippets online, and Envy seemed kind of like he's worked up, but she was keeping her composure. Like he was big mad at her statement of calling people in the service industry mediocre jobs. And at the end of the day, she's not telling a lie. That is a mediocre job. But if you're confident in yourself, no matter what somebody else says can't affect you no type of way. Because we're all rich. There's a difference between rich and wealthy. Like financial money, just like, your finances don't dictate your wealth. Like how you carry and conduct yourself dictates your wealth, because it's like some people that got 6-7 figures, they're more miserable than people they carry and conduct themselves horribly. Like they don't even love themselves. There's like some people right now, 6-7 figures, with the most horrible body hygiene in the world, walking around breath stinking, underarms cutting up, but they got on some designer, they got on some Louis V, they got on some Gucci. And they think that them designer labels absolves them from, the basics. Because when you tell them about themselves, the first thing they're going to say, like, yeah, oh, broke ass so-and-so, my shoes cost more than your rent, or something like that. My chain costs more than your mortgage. Yeah, but you funky as heck. I'm just saying. But like I said, the only reason why I brought it up is just to point out how people outside of our culture use instances like that to have us arguing and debating amongst ourselves and allowing ourselves to become distracted by having our emotions manipulated. Like they literally make billions of dollars telling us how we should feel about something, speaking on our behalf, inserting their opinions quietly into our issues, our in-house issues. Well, that was just my perspective. That's all I really got on that commentary. Nothing really else tonight. So tonight was a light bite. You know who else is a straight shooter? This don't got nothing to do with nothing but Eric Mays. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, if we had people, if this like democracy stuff works and we have more people like him, stuff will probably get done. It didn't have nothing to do with nothing, but it just, I don't know why I've been thinking about him lately. Like, Eric Mays, that's the final word on that. All right, so that's it, and that's all. I'm gonna give you a quick run through of my format, and then I'm gonna leave you guys to enjoy your lovely evening this evening. So first, start at the tippy top, which will be in store for a full broadcast of the Narrator podcast. And I do them every single weekend. I just randomly go live on weekdays. I never know what days I'm going to be available to do a live. It seemed like I was stuck on Thursday all last month. And now, like, this is my second Wednesday that I'm live, so I don't know. I really don't know how my lives work. What I try to intend on doing is like, I like to let the articles accumulate so I have at least 3 to 4 references to share. And then for something to actually happen in the community or in the world, in our community or in the world, for me to commentate on before I do a live. All right, but anyway, on to the format for a full episode of the Narrator podcast. So, starting at the tippy top, when you tune in this weekend, like I know you will, you're going to tell a friend to tell a friend. I start off with a promotional section. Well, let me back up a bit. So on my full broadcast day, my podcast is broken up into sections, and the purpose of me breaking the content up into sections is to make it more time sensitive and so the content will become digestible. Meaning I want, my content to resonate with the listeners. Because when I first started podcasting, like I had no idea what type of, subject matter I wanted to speak about. what type of message that I wanted to send, I would just like talk and talk and talk. And as a result, like zero listeners, no listeners, no feedback. I was just like floating around in the digital space. But now a full fixture now that I fine tuned my content. I'm a whole fixture. I ain't even got guests and I'm hitting numbers. Like no camera, no nothing, and I'm hitting numbers. I'm an audio platform and I'm hitting numbers. Like just because I took a little inventory. But anyway, broke my content down into sections. Do that, to make it time sensitive, because I notice nobody wants to listen to somebody just drone on and on and on. No matter how popular they are, no matter how intellectual they are, nobody wants to sit up there and listen to somebody talk about anything for like 2 to 3 hours. So to stop myself from rambling, I broke my content down into sections and gave all my sections a speaking point, and I tried to like time each section as well. So I try not to exceed 10 minutes on each section. So I try not to exceed 1 hour for the entire broadcast, because I want it relatable, I want it digestible, and I want my content to resonate with my listeners and, be applicable and practical to, your life. I don't want you to have to be, clear your entire schedule to catch up on back episodes. I want you to be able to listen to the Narrator podcast at your leisure. So if I gotta classify myself as anything, I would say I'm like the drive time show of the conscious community. It's like portable, on the go, give you what you need, give you some, insightful, positive content that resonates with you, and it's just like right out of the box compatible to, whatever lifestyle you got going on. So anyway, starting things off, I do my promotional section. My promotional section is dedicated to entrepreneurs, any entrepreneur, aka original people, business owner that has a business, product, or service they would like promoted. That's I'm extending the olive branch to have them hit me up to, promote whatever they got going on. Business, product, service, or an event, like if you're an event hoster or whatever, a planner, promoter, you can hit me up and I give you my information to hit me up. Like you can listen to a previous episode to get all that contact info. I'm just walking you through, the format for a full broadcast day. So that's me just keeping, for my lives, I never like to exceed over 45 minutes. So like I'm a little past an hour now. But yeah, I was just wanted to walk you through the experience. And then my second section is my contest section. My contest section is basically an incentive. It's to reward people for listening. It's been supporting me from day one, as well as hopefully attract new listeners so they can tell a friend to tell a friend, basically to promote listener participation until I get myself a hotline situation going on and get the set up to where I can have more interaction with my audience, just the way they can participate with the content that I'm putting out. It's just like a contest to give a bulk supply of your favorite snack as the prize for participating in the content. That's it and that's all. You get a bulk supply of your favorite snack for participating in the contest topic. And my ongoing contest topic that I have is share your most recent shopping while black experience. That information is also available in my last previously recorded full episode of the Narrator podcast. All right, and then on to my third section. My third section is actually the main one. The first two is just like the warm up, but this is like technically the meat of the podcast. This is the positive frame of reference about our people and our culture. This section is referred to as the highlight section. In this section, what I'm doing is I'm highlighting, entrepreneurs, people that own their own businesses and provide the community a service. And the reason why I'm doing that is to provide the positive frame of reference about entrepreneurialism. Because the people I highlight in the highlight section are just regular people that were working 9-to-5 jobs that wanted to start their own business and be responsible for their own lives. They didn't want to, work a 9-to-5 business anymore. Most of them most all of them just, they didn't have a lot of expertise in the field that they started the business in. They didn't have any previous experience with it. They had limited education about it. They had limited finances. They didn't have a lot to start the business with. So not a lot of knowledge about the business that they were starting. Not a lot of finances to start the businesses, and they just, they stepped out on faith and found a way to make their product work. And that's what I'm trying to do in that section. I want to walk you through their journey. I want to tell you things like, what year they got established, how they came up with the name, the types of things that they had, types of obstacles they had to overcome in their first year of being a proprietor of a business or having a product or service, things that come with that. Because again, we don't have positive frames of reference about that. We don't have any reality television shows about being an entrepreneur, being a business owner. Not a lot of articles about that. The few little shows that we do have on the air about that, the dysfunction takes the main stage. The camera focuses in on the dysfunction surrounding it. It's like they want to focus on the fighting and the name calling and, the just acting atrocious in public. That's what you're focusing on. You're not focusing on, them being entrepreneurs and them being successful, them, coming from the gutter, being a proud business owner. All you're focused on is the fighting and the name calling and the denigrating for the ratings, helping the powers that be get the ratings. That's what we focus on. We don't have no just all positive stories about, becoming an entrepreneur. So that's what I'm giving you in that section, in the highlight section. Just totally positive story about a person overcoming, adversity and pulling themselves up by their bootstraps and taking charge and control of their lives, helping themselves and helping their community as well. So the types of people that I feature in my highlight section are people, that either, have their own nonprofit organization or pay into a nonprofit organization or provide, the community with some type of outreach service, like they're giving back, they're reaching back into the community. They're hiring their own. Most of the businesses featured in the highlight sections are family-owned and operated businesses. So I'm giving you a real-world example of generational wealth, because they're family-owned and operated, and they'll be around for the next generation of people in their family to service the community with a product, to have people from our community to be able to go somewhere where they're not feeling like they're getting followed around the store or like their presence isn't accepted. And then they hire their own, so they take care of their people. And then the last thing that I look for in my highlight section is, the business has to line up with my theme. And my theme for pretty much to the end of this month is the season of spring. So like all the businesses that will be featured in the highlight section this weekend, will be associated with the season of spring. In addition to, doing some type of philanthropy, some type of giving back, starting from the bottom, not having a lot of, education and financial resources to start the business. I want to showcase and highlight it is possible to be a business owner, to do for self and not be dependent on, the system, that you don't have to work a 9-to-5 job for the rest of your life if you don't want to. Then after the highlight section, I segue over into the spotlight section. And then the spotlight section is basically a section where I'm giving prominent figures within our community their roses, their just dues while they're still here. Basically, what I'm trying to do in this section is create the healthy habit of saying something nice about your brother or sister. Because too often, we're herded and goaded into speaking negatively about one another. Like, we don't say nice things about each other. Like, we're programmed and conditioned into believing to get the bag, we gotta throw each other under the bus, and we gotta sling mud and throw dirt on each other's name. And there is just as much money in being positive as there is being negative. But for some odd reason, we're the only people that get online, get a platform, and get to saying something negative about, another one of our kind. And we're the only people to do that. Like, Asians don't do it. Spanish people don't do it. Dutch people don't do it. German people don't do it. Just us. Only we do that. So I want to create, something, to like instructionally, like give us an instruction manual, just, give it up, say something nice, give credit where credit is due to somebody, doing something positive, and just coming genuine from the heart, saying something nice about somebody. So that's what, I'm trying to do in that section, trying to inspire us to celebrate our achievements. And I see I've, completed my objective, because now everywhere you go, every time you turn on, the radio, YouTube, watch television, do people even listen to the radio anymore? I just said, or wherever you're streaming your music or services from, people got a spotlight section now. Like, nobody on the internet, nobody was spotlighting anything or anyone, before I add the spotlight section to my podcast, the Narrator podcast. So the Narrator podcast is making strides, it's making waves. Give it up for myself, because nobody was spotlighting anybody, so I added the spotlight section to my podcast.
You are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
You better know it. All right, but anyway, the types of people that I spotlight in the spotlight section are, usually people in the entertainment industry, such as actors, actresses, recording artists, comedians, public figures, or sometimes religious people as well, religious leaders. Pretty much anybody in the eye of the public that has a polarizing platform, those are the people I spotlight. And my criteria for spotlighting people, I spotlight people, that are, doing some type of social activism or spreading awareness to something. Doing some type of work in the community, in the soil, some type of uplifting, motivational work, using their platform to, build up, not destroy, giving back to the community, using all their resources to give back to the community, or the way they carry and conduct themselves in the eye of the public. So sometimes it ain't, the giving back is just like having that visual prowess of us being positive. When you look at that person, they're linked with positivity. So that makes us look good as a people. So, those are the types of people that I spotlight in the spotlight section. And a small disclaimer, not that I'm trying to hero worship or clout chase when I spotlight, so don't ever think because I put somebody in the spotlight section on my podcast, I believe or I want you to believe that they're perfect or holier than thou, or that I'm clout chasing just because I said their name. So don't do that. Don't do that. It's just I'm giving credit where credit is due, and creating the healthy habit of saying something nice and saying something sincere and genuine, and not because we're programmed and conditioned nowadays to believe saying something nice is something being negative, like you're trying to kiss behind, backside, or clout chase just because you're celebrating your brothers and sisters' accomplishments and really being genuinely happy for them, and, wishing them well in life, and, giving them a nod for all the good things that they do. Like that's a bad thing now. All right, so that's it for the spotlight section. I gave you all the criteria and all that, what I look for in the spotlight section. And then after my spotlight section, I segue into my health and wellness section. Health and wellness section is just what it sounds like. I speak about health and wellness. And I do that because we are kind of at risk. Because like I said, they use the media to bombard us with negativity, to have us looking at ourselves a certain way, to make us feel a certain way about ourselves. Um, so, like I said, they're trying to like weaken our immune systems by overtaxing our minds with all this filth that they're putting in television, in music, in literature, in magazines, what you call magazine periodicals, like all these negative frames of reference and like trying to desensitize us and make us accept and normalize things about ourselves that aren't normal. This is causes like our immune systems to weaken by having our brains overtaxed in that regard. And then also, they're putting stuff in everything. They're putting stuff in our food. They're putting stuff in our water. They're putting stuff in the very air we breathe in our neighborhoods. We all heard of chemtrails, right? And then it don't stop there. Nah, they coming spiritually too. They doing like dark little demonic stuff. So in the health and wellness section, basically, I'm just giving tips to my people. I mean, anybody from any background is more than welcome to listen to my platform, but just know that all the content on it is directed towards my people. Original people, aka black people. So if you're outside of our culture, you can use it as a tool to enlighten yourself with. But it's about us on my platform. And so, like in the health and wellness section, I'm just giving tips to stay armored up mentally, physically, and spiritually. Because that's all the areas we're being attacked. So, examples of the types of things that I talk about, like on the physical side of it, I might hit you with the health benefits of a fruit, vegetable, plant, herb, mineral extract, or just something you ingest or use topically to, fortify your health. Physical exercises you can perform to stay healthy and in shape. Mental, to stay in good mental health. I might talk about things like, mindful breathing or meditation. Spiritual things like praying. And I might throw a curveball every once in a blue moon and talk about metaphysical stuff. So yeah, that'll do it with the health and wellness section. And then after the health and wellness section is my speaking points of the day. And my speaking point of the day is basically like what I did this evening, just my commentary on whatever, whether it's breaking news or whether it's something just specifically happening in our community. Like if everybody's talking about it, I'm gonna talk about it. But when I talk about it, I'm always talking about it from our perspective, because in that section, what I'm doing is controlling the narrative, because the powers that be will use their resources to have us looking and sounding crazy. So, here on Narrator Podcast, I'm controlling the narrative. I'm breaking it down from our perspective, whether it be something, news happening in our community or news happening around the world. In the event that I don't have any of that to talk about, I might do a PSA about something that I notice our people do. And when I say, we, I mean myself included. So, I might just throw a curveball and just like, we need to do better section, basically, when I do a PSA. But in that section, generally, typically, it's, breaking news, my commentary on breaking news. So after the speaking point of the day, I round things out with my final thoughts. And my final thought of the day is a gem. a pearl of wisdom, something insightful, something wise, something to resonate with you. You know, my final thought for the day ain't for everybody. So when you hear it and you're like, the message probably wasn't for you. So if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if you get something out of it, then I did my job. And speaking of doing my job, that's it. I walked you through the entire, format of the Narrator Podcast full episode edition. And now I'm going to bid you good evening. But before that, I'm going to just ask you to download this episode and our previously recorded episodes of the Narrator Podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. This will help my platform grow, of course. You know, we living in the digital age. We know about that algorithm. Help a brother pay them bills so I can deliver you more quality content, keep building my platform, get some guests, transition into the video space so they can look me in my face and see the sincerity and the conviction behind my content. What else? Oh yeah, so like when I'm live, the best ways to catch me when I'm live is to follow me on YouTube. And my viewer channel is just Halsey Allen. I don't have one exclusively for the Narrator Podcast, but I'm broadcasting live right now, and it goes right to YouTube when I'm broadcasting live, and it also goes to my Twitter, which I'm also Halsey Allen. So I broadcast to YouTube and Twitter directly. And the best ways to not miss a live episode of the Narrative Podcast is to follow me on YouTube and Twitter. And if you're following me on YouTube, you gotta click that, subscribe button and click the notification bell so you don't miss live episodes of the Narrative Podcast. Also, I've written a book of poetry titled The Black Card. Do yourself a tremendous pleasure. Read a book of really good poetry, covering, all that is us, that encompasses all that is us as a people, all our experience, things we go through, positive and negative, like, for people outside of our culture, that'd be a little tutorial for y'all. But to us, it's like a little almanac. Everything we experience. 30 nice, really insightful, thought out poems. Definitely applicable. Enjoy it. It'll make a great coffee table read or a travel book. You can enjoy it and purchase The Black Card. That's the title of the book. Go online and visit the Poetizer bookstore on Poetizer.com and pick you up a copy of The Black Card today, right now. Do it. And last but not least, I have a personal poetry blog called Hallzies Poetry Corner on www.mrhalziesblogs.com on blogger.com. Powered by Adam. So it's just like poems that I write in the moment. I haven't really wrote poems on it in a really long time, but I got over 200 poems on there. Go support that, and the way you support it is by sharing one of my poems from Hallzies Poetry Corner on your preferred platform, whatever platform you're active on, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Tumblr, Pinterest, whatever you're on, whatever you're active on, share. Go to that link, www.mrhalziesblogs.com, and share a poem from hallziespoetrycorner.com. You can favorite and all that. You can actually comment. Like you can sign in with your Gmail account and comment on each one of my poems on blogger.com. But definitely share them poems from Hallzies Poetry Corner on blogger.com, Hallzies Poetry Corner. And my tagline for that is Hallzies Poetry Corner, poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. And when you read one, you'll find out why. Well, that's it and that's all. Thank you so much for listening, my narrators and everybody out there in podcast land. Enjoy your evening tonight. I know I will. Enjoy me this weekend for a full episode of the Narrator Podcast. And I'm out of here like last year. Halsey Allen's wishing you, sending you love, light, healing energy. Much love to my narrator family. Have a very good evening. Halsey Allen and the Narrator Podcast signing off. And it's like that.
I'ma make it